You're listening to Tune Dig, a conversation between two lifelong friends about the power of music, one album at a time. I'm Cliff Seal.
And I'm Kyle Stapleton. Each episode, we talk about a single album in depth, unpacking it through conversation to understand what makes it worth appreciating, and learning a little bit about life along the way.
If you're listening for the first time because we're covering an artist or a record you love, we promise you'll learn something new or gain a new perspective by the end of the episode.
And if you've stuck with us for multiple episodes, you know by now that you're bound to expand your horizons as we share clear entry points for artists you may never have tried to get into before.
Today we're talking about Super Champon by Otoboke Beaver. Why?
How do you even start a conversation about this any other way than insanely? I just want to rip my shirt off and run around in the yard. That's the Otoboke Beaver episode, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by.
Brendan, throw in a blast beat here and album complete.
This record is a gift from the Machine Elves.
It's also, if we're looking for ways to start this conversation, we could just do the opposite of what we did in our last conversation, where we said, hey, look, Say Chic might be the most accessible record to ever exist. Today I bring you maybe the opposite in a great way. Not challenging on our scale of challenging music, kind of automatically in the enjoyable column there, but by most people's rubric, a truly difficult record that's going to get a few people to go, oh shit, this is my thing now.
I hope so. And honestly, I don't think you're a real, I won't even say music enjoyer, like experience appreciator in general in life, if you can't hang in there for the literal 21-minute runtime of this whole thing. It's going to feel like a very long 21 minutes, to be clear. But when you have a little time and space in your life, like I do, living on a gravel road in the South, I noticed that I wasn't even to the highway from my house before this record started over. And I was like, wow, I live far from things, but also this record is short. That's tight. So this is the opposite record of a lot of records in a lot of ways. This whole record is less than one side of the Fela record.
As one review put it, the size of one modern Iron Maiden song. Yes, I guess so.
The lyrics are shorter than the transcription of One Time Dave Mustaine Complains About Metallica.
This activated the part of me that goes, I love being fucking weird on purpose and in people's face, as long as it doesn't hurt them, obviously. But in a societally abrasive way of like, yes, this is my chat pile shirt of Grimace smoking weed. And yes, if you ask me about it, I will eventually play this for you. And you'll look at me like, are you serious? And I'll look right back at you like more serious than I've ever been. And we'll have this whole conversation about 500 really weird bands. And this is one of them. I love it. It's weirder than the music that came before it. I don't know where it's going from here. It makes me want to drum better and faster. It makes me want to listen to boring music less. And it makes me want to tell everybody about 1,000 other weird records that made me feel however this record made me feel when I forced myself to listen to it on repeat, which is something close to a mania.
I agree with everything you say on a musical level, but it's even more reptile brain than that for me. This is like, do you like fireworks? Have you ever wanted to, not in the Katy Perry sense, in the literal explosions of chemicals sense, have you ever wanted to feel like fireworks were going off in your body in a good way, in like an abstract way, not in a pain way? Do you like that sensation? Do you like skateboarding? Do you like rage rooms or primal scream therapy? Do you like running around in a mall? If you're old enough to have ever done that, I remember that.
Like running in a mall.
Yeah. like they do in the movies before they get kicked out before the mall cop. Do you like Six Flags? Do you like just spending the whole day at Six Flags? Do you remember what that was like? This is all that. Do you want to feel alive as fuck in your body? Brother, gender non-specific, do I have the band for you?
I have to admit, I'm already on a mental detour because I love going to theme parks as an adult. And part of why I love it now is because you get to control your experience differently. And one of the things you get to do if you go by yourself is listen to music while you're there.
Oh,
this
man.
is a perfect band to listen to literally at Six Flags. That is a great call.
1000%. I mean, it evokes the feeling of being at Six Flags if you can't be there. But yeah, if you're going to have AirPods in walking around Six Flags, this is like a pretty perfect companion. And it's hard to know what would even pair well with that, but this most certainly would. This is like, I'm going to get out there and get it, dude. This is the one album, one band Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtrack experience.
This is the cool workout record you're looking for, but unfortunately, no one's workout lasts 22 minutes or whatever.
This is, what is that shit called? High intensity interval training.
Yeah,
this is that. This is that, the record. Can't promise you're going to like it, but the shapes of them pair well. The graphs of them, so to speak, the ups and downs. Also, of all the things we love that have never spilled over into this main podcast, the 12-second song, the Napalm Death's You Suffer, the joy of suffer, if you will. I know we both love that on not only a musical, but also a philosophical level. Like, that has to exist in the spectrum of all things that can exist in music. We certainly spend a lot of time stretching time out in the other direction with the music that we've talked about. But man, if you can express an idea completely and directly in 12 seconds, that's rad.
Your point is even more well made because You Suffer is 4 seconds long.
That's right.
And there's a lot of that energy here, though, which I enjoy. Yeah, it's sort of like if you took out the little You Suffer and made it like a move that a band does, and then just sprinkled it throughout. We will, I'm sure, talk about a lot of different ways to view this prism or whatever, but you could probably trace it throughout the podcast episodes. I'm always low-key, like a grind fan, because you can bring it into things where it doesn't belong and make a new thing, and it works so well here. There's so many things that are just straight up aped from serious hardcore bands. And I mean, the first mistake you can make is to let appearances deceive you with this band and write anything off based on your American masculine perception of what you're looking at to begin with. And any 10-second snippet of pretty much any song that they play will disabuse you of any notions you had about whether this is good, fast, interesting, complicated, any of it. It ticks every box insultingly well, except for maybe I don't know, if you're looking for complex jazz adjacent compositional type of music, you will not mostly find it here. You're going to find a lot of different employment of other aspects of culture, which is not just a generic way to say Japanese. It's a way to say this integrates, the timing is mostly from comedy, not from other music, which is why it feels funny to listen to, which it, like, just those two sentences is like, you could get me on a band with that. Well, we're just kind of fucking around with the thing that makes you laugh based on how humans perceive the timing of different interjections. Like, yes, I'm subscribed.
I would argue, I think maybe you take complexity for granted a bit because it is exactly how your mind works. But if you were to talk to a normie and be like, remember all these parts in order, it's only 90 seconds. It's no big deal. And remember exactly when every part stops and starts. Pick any instrument, whichever you feel most comfortable with. Motherfucker, 99 out of 100 people could not replicate an Otoboke Beaver song, could not cover it with a day's practice. So is it Billy Cobham's Stratus? Is it a big classical piece? Nah. Does that take away from the writing and the musicianship that's happening here? Fuck no. It's unreal. It's unreal. And I would argue that the fluidity is a jazz of its own. There's so much stuff that understays its virtually everything understays its welcome here. And they never do a single thing as much as I want them to do it. And the rises and falls feel really, really fluid. I think that's why I keep thinking about skateboarding, because it's like up and down and sort of leaning left and right and whatever. It really feels like that. And I guess that's like a roller coaster too. It's got physics, like where a lot of music is linear and you can see the staffs of sheet music happening. There's lines and angles and shit. This is more waves. For sure. It's very physical. It's very visceral. It's, in the future meme sense, it's sensational.
Physical is really important as a description here. I think not only to express how you will probably experience some form of this record when you listen to it, but also as an understanding of their live performance and the way that they seemingly draw influence and, to your point, compose and write music. There is a specific physicality to a lot of it.
Yeah, I play bass barefoot because that's just what feels better to me. It helps me get in the flow better.
Yes. And 100 more seemingly like physical-esque things. I think it's good to sort of mention the reference up front that we were alluding to. One thing that this band sort of comes out and says about itself, all kind of present and former members included there, is that their changes in rhythm and tempo, like their approach to how the rhythm works, is a translation of manzai comedy in Japan, which as soon as you hear and perceive the concept that I'm talking about, and like I'm fully ignorant of it prior to beginning to research this record and understand it.
Same.
But the moment you see it, it clicks.
Yep.
That is what they're doing. In a very simplistic summary of what this is for people who are unfamiliar specifically, it is a duo comedy, and there's this interplay between two people, and generally speaking, one person is sort of playing the role of like the idiot who's sort of making jokes at a rapid pace, and the other person is sort of critiquing and correcting and being the sort of like the almost good cop, bad cop type dynamic of thing, but it's really fast. It's interjectory, it's interruptive, and it works. I mean, honestly, frankly, it's a little bit like a tune dig, to be straight with you. Like, where one person is going really fast, the other person's like, you got 80% of it there, 20% real fast. Let's roll it back. And then the next person goes in, but there's a speed and a cadence to it when people embrace the comedy and embrace the methodology of how all of that stuff works and start to express timing through not only their body physically, right, but like the specific physical interaction between the two people who are physically standing there. And like, so it, not only can you start to hear where the music can come from, it unlocks a bit of like the what am I looking at when you see a live video of them. Because there's something different about it than just like, oh, that time at the drive-in was on TV and they scraped their face across the floor for fun and it all sounded like feedback. It's sort of different from that. And to me, like learning more again about that comedy as an influence in the music held me to go back and start reappreciating over and over again, like what is happening here and why is it so strange to me in a cool way, but also how it's not music theory rhythm. It is, there's an an embodiment of the way that we talk and interact as the rhythm. And that's part of what makes it like delightful in the most positive sense I can possibly say. Like it delights me now that I understand more of that, and makes me laugh. Like music that makes me laugh immediately goes to the top of my list. And not in a like, this deathcore song is very bad type of funny, but in like a, you just surprised me and caught me off guard so much that my body made a noise like that. That's rad, dude. That's the type of thing I'm looking for now.
Yeah. It's not Lil Dicky trying to make me laugh with the content. It's Riff Raff making me laugh with the structure. But like, it's serious. It's committed to what it is. It doesn't exist to be comedic. It is inspired by the energy of comedy. And the thing that came to mind while you were sharing that, and that's bang on, that's a great root place to start, is, you know, we keep making that contrast between the myth of the lone genius and the power of the collective. And just knowing that this fundamentally starts with the assumption that a collective is required, right? For a two-person comedy, interplay and interaction. You couldn't write the stuff. I mean, I guess theoretically you could write it on your own, but you miss some of the like organic stuff that comes out in the Manzai style and the speed. I don't know enough about Manzai to know if there are lone geniuses in the genre, but just as somebody who writes creatively all the time, I know for sure it's at least very difficult to write in two voices at that speed with that level of interplay. So if any one of them can do it on their own, hallelujah, praise be. But I also suspect part of the joy in developing this style is specifically getting to do it with other people and the bouncing and the collaboration type stuff. So that inherently, the social element of it lends to a level of fun and delightfulness immediately because it's shared. It's a joke you're both in on.
To that point, one specific bit about this record that I think contextualizes it and makes it, for me, like this band overall, everything I've heard, great, including what was basically a compilation record and not an intentionally made album prior to this, Itikoma Hits, which is also very cool. And I think we'll talk some about a lot of the type of music that's on there and some of how it persists into this record. But Super Champon was released in 2022. This is, as the band represents, like basically the first time they could do music full time and make an album on purpose.
Right.
Now, the lead up to this being they changed drummers for this record. And then actually they have now moved on past this drummer as well, as of like literally when we're recording this, early mid 2026.
Yep.
So the drummer on this record, Kaho Kiss, is, I mean, first of all, maybe one of the cooler drummers I've experienced, and I've seen a lot of drummers in my time. Like this, listen to the record right before this one, then listen to this one. It's a lot faster and weirder and more complex, like noticeably so. And we already called this like a physical record. I think for the most part, any record that we think of as being physical is going to have a percussion rhythm section of like severity, seriousness. Like there is an underlying heaviness to the rhythm that makes a thing physical. And like, she is one of the best drummers I've ever heard and plays incredibly precise, fast music. And this would be an interesting record without her. It would not work correctly. Or not correctly. It would
at the level.
The way, yes.
Yeah. It elevates it.
Yeah. And we love a lot of heavy bands with big riffs. And so we could, we don't have to go through and name a bunch, but like, I'm sure we can very quickly think of like some bands have huge riffs and they play a doom and a sludge beat on top of it. And it's got its own weight to it and physicality, and it's interesting and it's slow.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the way on the other side of things are the drummers who play at a speed that doesn't seem right, but the band has figured out how to play that fast correctly. I saw it converge again for the 87th time or whatever pretty recently. It's a pretty good example of a band who, like, they play really fast, but the reason that it works isn't because they're fast. It's because they're really good at playing fast.
Yeah.
And they've done it that way for a long time. And like the music and the guitar is shaped around how fast they're playing. And to me, that was my first sort of big takeaway listening more and more to this record is here are 4 people absolutely committed to, we're going to make an album full of extremely tight, complex, on rhythm punk music that plays with occasional pop, occasional hardcore, occasional grind, always kind of comes back to the center and never stays the same long enough to become any actual genre at all. I even saw one review basically just say, like, it doesn't make sense just to call this a punk record, but calling it anything else doesn't really make sense. So that's what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
This is the energy of stuff that like lights me up when I get to listen to it. A committed approach to something specific in the punk region or territory that pushes things in a direction that, you know, a lot of other people don't visit.
There's plenty on the record about how much we hate genre tags and over labeling and the fallibility of words in talking about musical sensations. Quite literally, to your point, you feel compelled to find words for this, and there just aren't any. Like, you have to call Otoboke Beaver a genre. They have invented a sound. There is nothing. And I mean, I scoured for the last part of this where it's like, okay, no, I'm going to find some stuff, but nothing, not only is not quite like this, nothing is in the neighborhood of this. So on that merit alone, if you like music at all and you're here listening to this podcast, so you do, this is a must stop. You got to eat at this restaurant at least once and try out the flavors. And there are many, and they are like explosive. There's tons of seasoning. This is Michelin star shit. And maybe it would just be a regular good meal without the drummer, to your point. What was the record earlier this year where we were like surprised that the drummer was the MVP? Oh, NERD.
Yeah.
This is another give the drummer some episode where you're just like, everything's great, but it's super great. And we're talking about it because of the drummer. That's the holy shit thing. And you know, so much of the time we've really settled into a groove where the first thing we talk about is a cold listen. I do think this is one of the rare instances where I would make an exception to do a cold listen without seeing anything about this band. I think this is a great, unless you're an asshole, this is a great time to judge a book by its cover, where I just think it fires too many synapses in too many directions to just hear the sounds happening. And it really helps speed the learning curve. And to your point, brings delight to your heart. You just cannot be unaffected when you see video of them. You are quite literally moved by their energy. The kids talk about people having aura. You want to talk about 4 people that have aura. The people in this band have massive aura, and you're like, I don't know how long I can hang in there with this, but I am fucking interested. And you, when we were texting back and forth about this, made I always want to call him Angine de Poutine comparison of the virality. The visuals make it shticky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking away from the musical chops of that band. They are also quite good and unique and interesting. If you've experienced that viral sensation of the 2 polka dot clowns playing microtones, I would put this perpendicular to that, where it's like seeing a movie in Technicolor on a big screen for the first time, where you're just like, whoa, dude, I want to see what's going on there. And I think for a lot of people, it was either a Tiny Desk or a KEXP. So I'm quite thankful for those services that public radio have provided for us. Do you remember the first thing you saw from them?
No, but one of those times would have been, there was a moment where Dave Grohl, RIP culturally, made a really big deal about them. And they went on tour with some really big bands.
The
All of
Foos
a
are
sudden-
really eating shit right now, aren't they? Man, they really tanked it hard. He should have just quit while he was ahead. That's the one thing Kurt Cobain and us can probably agree on. The Melvins are great, and Dave Grohl never should have kept going. Okay, so there's two things.
But if I don't do a cold listen, I don't stumble upon Japanese lyrics such as, I don't believe in my maternal instinct, it's none of my business, child abuse, as the very first thing that gets said on this record, with the chorus of, I love dogs, I love dogs, I love dogs, I deliver a puppy, not a baby, which as a child-free individual deeply represents me and my emotional states, so I can understand. I love famously having a hard time with lyrics, and especially ones that are not even thinly veiled with meaning. I have enjoyed this record quite a bit, in one part because, yes, it is in a language that my brain does not recognize, or at least part of it is in a language that my brain doesn't recognize, and therefore I have this sort of different experience of it, right, than trying to actually discern what's being said. But even when I read what the rough translation would be, the Cedric Bixler Zavala adjacency of like, I am going to do a gibberish version of what I'm trying to say. There's like just enough of it here to where just once again, I find it funny. Like, no, it works. Like, this is sort of what I would say if I were being a goober about some shit around some friends talking about a topic like this. I'd start doing a bit with other people and we'd start making jokes like this. And like, very, very quickly, just like would actually be the case with Cliff and Kyle, you're always 2 songs away from a strong feminist stance anyway. So might as well talk about ridiculous shit. And then you'll get to the hard parts and then you'll come back into ridiculous shit. And just like the lightheartedness matched with the meticulous intensity of the music is another delightful layer that just like, there are few analogs for it, honestly.
Well, yes to all that. A couple of other things. Reading specifically that they've doubled down on the stretching of the English and Japanese mixing and playing with grammar and plays on words. And there's a real inventiveness with the language that they've doubled down on out of spite, which is super punk. The song Pardon is literally about exactly that. Oh, like, oh, you can't understand me? Oh, just like sort of doing the mocking SpongeBob meme about people not being able to understand them. Fantastic. They get knocked on about vague love songs or whatever. So they write a quote unquote love song to basically the Japanese equivalent of ASCAP, of the like recording rights institution. And then there's stuff like, again, to your point, like what's a sentence that we would just say, it would become a vocal stem for us. Where did you buy such a nice watch you are wearing now? It's delightful. It just feels good. It just feels fun to say. And then to your point, it devolves into really specific vibes that we bring to the function. You're no hero. Shut up. Fuck you, man whore. That's the title of a song on this record. A couple of songs before, a song called Dirty Old Fart is waiting for my reaction. And then it ends with track 18, Let's Shopping After Show. 17 seconds long. Amazing. Have I sold you yet, listener? If not, I can keep going. I will keep going. But wait, there's more.
It's always just enough. I won't dish out salads. Like the song starts with like salad. Like they're just chanting fucking salad. But then you read a little bit more. Oh, okay. So in Japanese culture, serving salad is a female subordinate type of gesture. So the whole thing of it is like, like the lyrics are like, what are you good at? Wow, great. You can dish out salad. Okay, so if you take one more step, you get rewarded. And like we talk about this all the time, right? Like usually it's the bands who are like overly serious. Speaking of this being a foil for Chic, right? Deep hidden meaning. None of that fucking shit here, man. not a lick of a deep hidden meaning anywhere. It's just like here's what this song is about. If you care to do a little bit of reach into what it is that this is even referencing, you'll probably get something interesting, and it'll be just enough.
It's me. It's not DHM. It's MIF. It's meaning in your face.
But it reminds me that for a lot of hardcore and punk bands, I do wish they would just literally, in the old meaning of this phrase, say less. Just like say less. Make your point if you've got it. Yes, I know that you're vegan. We should be too. So just make a song that's like vegan, and be done. Be done with the whole thing. Because like it works if you just put that back into the music like it does here. But all the places that this record sent me reminded me, though, that, well, sort of a version of what you were already reminding me of earlier in this episode. I am the 1% in the weirdest way sometimes. I like this record very specifically, and I like it because of how difficult and weird and hard to remember that it is.
Yeah.
And therefore, I like some of their other music less. And some of the bands that I know inspired them directly or are inspired by them, I don't care. Like, it's cool. I appreciate it. We can draw through lines, all that stuff, right? But this isn't quite the same, like, oh, I found, to your point, a genre that people have gathered around. No, this is too esoteric for that. There's like an energy that I see and feel in other bands, and we can tie some of the music together. But the more I listened to this and let it take me places, the more it was just, I perceive this energy in 100 other bands, and I love to draw out what's happening in every one of these songs.
Totally agree. I am loath to try to put a fence around the Japan of it all, or to make a monolith of Japanese culture.
Yeah.
In small part because one of the interesting things about this that I learned was about Kansai, like Western Japan culture, Osaka and Kyoto, which even has its subcultural things. But somebody compared it to like an East Coast, West Coast thing with Kansai culture versus Tokyo culture, and how there's been rivalries in sports and music and food and fashion and all sorts of things, which is really, really interesting. Because, as Westerners, I'll only speak for myself, you tend to Africa-ize whole parts of the world, however small they may be. And, just like the Ravi episode being a great reminder, like the Indian subcontinent has 1 fucking million subcultures, geographic regions, languages, food origins, weather patterns, whatever. Japan's a big place. Tokyo alone is like the largest, one of the most populous cities on Earth, the densest city, and in many ways close to it. In any other part of Japan is very separate from that. And if you've never been there, it's very easy to not think about it not being a monolithic experience. But if you live in the South, you sure don't want New York speaking for you. If you live anywhere that's not Florida, you don't want Florida speaking for you. I don't think any of these places are the Florida of Japan. That would be
Jesus.
Is Australia the Florida of Japan? Maybe. I don't know. Somebody weigh in on this, and Eastern Hemisphere culture
silently
expert.
To yourself, and don't tell us about it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I want to know, and I want you to put it in writing so I can incriminate you with it earlier. I want you to do
cool,
a
man.
racism.
Everyone thinks we're Texans with our cowboy hats.
You getting a cowboy hat would be like Jeff Garland's character in Curb Your Enthusiasm getting a cowboy hat. You would never do it because it's fucking ridiculous for your character. But if your wife said she was into it, boy, you'd make a whole arc out of it. You would make a meal out of it.
Fucking yeehaw, buddy. Yeah.
And then very quickly you'd be like, she's killing me. She's draining me of my life force. I can't do the hat anymore. I'm literally dying. This has to stop.
I've negotiated down to only wearing cowboy boots.
Help, please help me. Please help me. I'm trapped in a 10-gallon prison.
As is true for my life, there's a Seinfeld episode for everything, including the one where Jerry ends up having to wear cowboy boots because Kramer took all of his other shoes to be cleaned, and then the shoe store shut down forever, and Jerry lost all of his shoes, and the only shoes he had left were cowboy boots. And he comes out wearing these things, and they're like, why do you even have cowboy boots? And he was like, somebody couldn't pay me one time, so they gave me cowboy boots, so that's what I have. And just everything winding down to, and of courseness is par for the course.
So much ado about cowboy boots to say that if I can say one monolithic thing about music from Japan in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, is that they get their freak on. Japanese musical artists do weird very well, very compellingly, and in a gazillion different flavors. They make being weird so fun. I didn't make this comparison ahead of time, but as we're getting into this, like one of our favorite bands in the world, and probably one of the bands that we've seen the most together over the past 20 years, is Japan's Boris, who is the most fun band to go see.
I knew this would happen.
Another band with a sick ass drummer who wears a headset mic and goes, woo, the whole time.
A physical band.
A very physical band, a loud band, a funny band, but also
a funny band. Yes. Holy shit. Yes.
Deeply, deeply musically gifted band. Wildly original, even surpassing their inspirations in many ways of the Melvins and Earth, Boris being named for an early Melvins track from Bullhead. They've become peers and inspirations to the Melvins and Sun and a number of other artists. I would go so far as to say we worship the Amplifier Worshippers. I think they are one of the best bands on planet Earth. They're certainly one of the most creatively inspiring because they never run out of ideas and they're so vast and versatile. Really, really just a beautiful musical idea done well all the time. Sick as fuck. And there's like 20 bands like that I could easily name that are like capital I important. I never know how to pronounce it, but like Les Réalisés des Nudes or whatever the French name, or like Flower Travelin' Band, the band that sort of like took off in the direction from Sabbath and did crazy psychedelic stuff. High Rise. I remember the first time I heard High Rise and thought my speakers were busted, but that's just the way that it sounds. None of those bands, by the way, sound anything like Otoboke Beaver.
Not even close.
But they're all connected by the spiritual oneness of Japanese uniqueness. They all have the delightful, full of life and je ne sais quoi flavor. It just feels different. You joke about Texas. Like, you know right away when something's from Texas. You can tell when a band is weird and they're Japanese because there's a fun to it most of the time. Even if it's a dead serious ass metal band, it's fun. It's energetic. It's like animated.
Seriousness becomes pretty suspicious too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Church of Misery would be an example in that vein. It's like dead serious music about serial killers, and they're playing clips of news reports talking about the Badlands couple or Charles Starkweather or, Jack the Ripper. And then they rip into like wah pedal bass and you're like, hell yeah. And then you see them in person and the guy's bass is touching the fucking ground. He's inducing scoliosis in himself to get down as low as the vibrations. And you're like, this makes no sense. I want to watch 3 hours of this every day for the rest of my life. I only want to see this band forever.
This is so great. You're just checking the boxes of the bands where I was like, here are the things me and Kyle will talk about organically. The point being, though, like, definitely we are probably at least mild aficionados of specifically loud Japanese bands.
Yeah.
Boris, yes. Church of Misery, yes. Also, though, Mono is another band that's on a totally different genre wavelength, but is one of the loudest bands I've ever seen, and
Who
from
Steve
Japan.
Albini loved and
Yes.
produced for. Yeah,
But
Mono's
just-
so good.
So even
Where
if
was
you
it you saw them? Where was that first Mono show
Oh
you
my
saw?
god,
Was
the
the
Drunken Unicorn with Pelican.
Oh my god. And for for the folks not hipped with Atlanta music venues, that's like 100 cap, 200 cap.
Something like that.
Very small.
Really small room. Yeah.
That feels about the size of the room that I'm sitting in and a lot sweatier. No overhead
Yeah, I was going to
fan.
say your room smells better. Yes.
Yeah.
But even just those 4 bands, all of whom are playing with aspects of heavy hardcore punk music, they're taking a thing out of it. Loudness, speed. Boris's whole thing is just sort of going wild and feeling energetically free, and just like they pull different parts of it and they do that thing so well. But there's such a good analog for the physicality that we're talking about. Like, those bands are unusually physical versus, a lot of the bands that, especially in the West, we would associate with like heavy or technical or complex music in this way. Like, there is a different approach to physicality and musicianship that finds a way not to take itself too seriously, which is always our downfall, man. The harder you try to make a song, and the more serious you are about it, the closer you are to just creating a thing that we're going to laugh about in the bad way when it gets done. Like, there's this kind of wall you have to bounce off of, and all those bands we mentioned do it so well while actively being, in their own way, really confounding and almost goofy in a sense. And like Mono's example of that, like, they're not a goofy band, but like, don't ever talk. There's no, like, they don't do vocals. Their whole thing is like, we are a quiet band who gets so loud that it offends you, and then back to quiet again. And like, that connection to people and artists who want to push on something that takes you through to the other side of an experience, especially live. All of those bands, interesting specifically live, and being able to capture that feeling of doing a thing in person, like far beyond, 99% of the bands we see live, even the good ones. Like, it's not just a good show. There's an important aspect of the presence that's, involved in that sort of music and those bands especially.
Yeah, they had that movement, visual kai, that's like theater rock, or the idea of theatricality in bands, that I think sort of infuses its way into lots of different aspects of presentation. These bands do presentation really well, and never, like, they all consider it, which is not a thing that you can say about a ton of American bands, especially like post grunge. There's the attempt at anti-presentation, which, of course, we all wear masks. It's a presentation in and of itself. But, another genre, another scene that Japan has done really well, that we love, is crust punk. Bands like Gauze and Gloom. Like, I love a D beat, and there's so many bands that are so crusty and gnarly. And like, in some ways, Otoboke Beaver is like if you washed all the mud off a crust punk band and got them nice and shiny and presentable for the daytime, but it's still got the energy and kind of the menace of it. So you've watched some videos, you're like, OMG, I'm in. You got this record going. It probably goes by all the way through twice before you catch up with the fact that you've played the whole record. Once all the way through, and then some. what are the moments that started getting their hooks in for you? And maybe it doesn't have to be, you know, you maybe don't have to get as specific as timestamp moments in the music, but like what sorts of things? You talked about the drumming. Was it just that and that and that? Or,
Why shouldn't I get into specific timestamps, huh?
Listen, I'm always welcoming it because I know there's probably going to be like one or two where we're both like, dude, and then there's probably going to be a couple that I didn't even catch.
I love Kyle being respectful and trying not to put the pressure on too much while we record a podcast episode. You don't have to be too specific, no worries. And I'm like, I have the notes though. I'm good because this is what happens.
I was just my dad and I were talking about baseball at the beach and umpiring because that's a job that the three of us all shared. And the thing that people need to know about you as a details or completionist person is that in high school, not only were you reading the rule book cover to cover of like baseball rules, MLB rules, but also the little league rules of the league we were umpiring. and then, ladies and gentlemen, as a teenager, in addition to learning guitar and working on your car and getting good at all these other things, you were going on forums with adult umpires and discussing rule interpretations. And you'd show up on a Saturday and talk about the fact that you had done that on the weeknight and like just dropped it that like that was a normal thing that we were children. We were legally children at the time. That was just like a regular thing people thought to do. It crossed their minds to do. Long wind up to say, I never don't think you have details in mind.
Yeah. Imagine having to work with me.
It's great. It made me lots better. It made me marginally less full of shit. And that's my core trait as a human being.
Those are some of the positives I can offer. We don't need to discuss the negatives. We can just move on. Thank you. Yes.
When all else fails, just give you a big bag of sunflower seeds.
That's true.
You'll
that
leave it
will.
out.
Yes, that will viscerally take me to a time and space. Honestly, that is pretty much what purgatory seems like to me. It's just like you kind of wake up in a field and some dude who kind of looks like God like strolls up to you real slowly and hands you a bucket. It's like, have a seat. We'll be with you in a bit. And then just walks away and you're just like in this infinite bag of sunflower seeds, just like spitting all around you. And then after a while, it starts to really pile up and you wonder how long you've been there. Anyway, baseball's rules are beautiful. In sort of like a meta sense and then a specific sense, the main thing that started happening, especially in repeated listens, is I felt that I understood a technique that I didn't notice originally, which was our songs are very short. They do not repeat. So if I'm going to hook, it must come immediately at the beginning. So then starting to notice the intros to so many songs, whether it's I Won't Dish Out Salad or Yakitori, definitely immediately start with the hook, then kind of come back to it a little bit later, but get the earworm in and then leave it. And then similarly, like Pardon, get in the earworm, leave it entirely, go do a bunch of weird shit, come back to it later one time, then leave it. These are the moves that I love from like prog metal bands. And they're doing it intentionally here and playing with their own hooks and palettes and stuff in ways that are super cool. And then applying that specifically. I Checked Your Cell Phone is probably one of my favorite songs now.
Just like in general.
Yes.
Mean. Yeah. I can totally see that.
I mean, it's just whatever little mental charts I have for myself, it is just squirreling its way all the way up.
I just know you as a person who asks why, sort of on a regular basis. It's now going to be replaced with why.
Hawaii, 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 Hawaii. I don't know why.
With rising aggressiveness.
Yeah. But I also, though, from time to time now, hear the vocals in the voice of Chad Pyle doing their version of Why. And then I was like, now actually, as a side note, these bands should tour together as soon as humanly possible.
Fuck yes.
I mean this. If anyone close to any of these bands are listening to me and someone has not thought of this already, please. You will hit a nerve in a good way for, I don't know how to express how fantastic that would be.
The Bummer Summer Tour.
I made Kyle's mouth actually agape for a second, and then I couldn't figure out if I
was literally speechless.
It's incredible. But honestly,
I would travel for that. I would travel a long way for just those two bands. And that bar has gotten higher in the I mean, I know I did just fly for, what was that thing in Denver? Decibel?
Yeah.
But that was like 10 bands, 12 bands.
Yeah.
Like I would go halfway across the country to see those two bands in a bar.
Yes.
Sight unseen. Full freight flight price.
Yes. So consider us pre-booked. Not that we could ever buy tickets for anything ever, because we're never fast enough anyway, but if we could, we would. But I think, so, okay, using that song as a hook into, oh, here's how I started caring a lot more about this band and this record after this. Okay. It's not just oh, look, we discovered this cool band who has a cool kind of punky record. It's interesting. Check it out. Great. Okay. Yes. But I checked your cell phone, had a live video of it that went viral itself, primarily because the drummer is playing the song. And then you see them playing the song, and it literally hits different. All the comments on this video are basically, oh shit, look at the drummer. Like, and it's YouTube, dude. Like, there's all kinds of drummers. There's all kinds of ways to impress people with music now. And so the fact that this energetically took off the way that it did, and the way that people talk about it, and the fact that at the end of the day, that all boils all the way back down to this drummer real fucking good. That rips. I love music because of that. Every cool moment comes down to, like, if I think about this and care about it for a minute, I'm going to whittle it down and figure out, like, who specifically did this cool thing that built up this big moment. And it's just awesome to see stuff like that. And on top of it, from a band that's intentionally throwing you off the scent visually, not looking like somebody who's about to be extremely on tempo at 250 BPM. And yet, there she is right there live in my video. Before I had to worry about everything being AI, I can see it. And then I can also see every other member of this band, and I can see the physicality of it. And there's also something about how, honestly, that video itself feels like a movie about how a band took off. Even the personal POV of it being a sort of cell phone video that's right there in the front, and the way that it captures everything energetically is not only compelling, like, musically and from an interesting perspective of, like, I love that more people will listen to cool music because of this, but it also expresses the feeling that I know we both try to convey to people a number of times, where it's like, you must go see this band, though. In order to understand what is being done, it won't make sense if you only listen to it over whatever, streaming service, through your headphones, whatever. And in that sense, they really started reminding me of the Chariot.
Yeah.
But we mentioned earlier that there's, like, a commitment to, like, a tightness in this music. And the Chariot despises tightness of any sort. But in both cases, the energy of what's being done, like, you can appreciate it through a recording of it. It does, like, literally the band The Chariot would not make sense to you unless you have perceived it in person at least once and felt what it was like to be like, what? Dude, why is everybody running around like this? it's like fucking recess at a preschool. What's happening? And like, what is compelling everybody to act this way? And it like those moments of like contagious energy displayed through the band, through the music, back into people, reflected back into the band who's seeing everybody, like those are incredible moments. And so to know then that this is one of those bands that I need to see and I haven't yet, and to be able to appreciate that at least in some form, some of the videos out there express that thing that I know will be true when I see them eventually is awesome. That rarely happens. As cool as this is, you can't just get an audio tree recording of a hardcore band and go like, this is it. Like,
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a representation of it, but it's not going to quite work. You got to go feel it.
Yeah. I think what it is for so much music, it starts with the unit of the song. That's the expression of the idea, but that gives you an incomplete picture. Or like the purpose is to produce those units, so to speak. That's how the artist is thinking of it. But the Chariot is a really good comparative example because you go see the Chariot live, or I suspect you go see Otoboke Beaver live, and you see that artistic intent. There is a single artistic intent, an idea of how to transmit energy that's guiding the whole project. And it's really more about that. What's a specific way that we want to deliver a force of energy to people? The music, not that it's not important. We care about the sounds of the music that we make, but it all has to be in service of this energy and the shape in which it comes at people. And like, when I watched the Chariot, I was always thinking, this is the closest a centrifuge can get before the center no longer holds. They want to pull the center as far apart as they can before it no longer is in the shape of a circle, before it no longer resembles human music. And that was like, wait, you can do that? Oh, they've already thought of this and they're doing it and they're presenting it to me to show me that it's possible. It had never occurred to me that you could be like that deliberate with what a band was trying to get people to think. And I don't even know how much I would ascribe that to a conscious decision. Like Josh Scogin wrote it on a piece of notebook paper somewhere one time. It's a centrifuge that's falling apart at all times. I don't know that it's that. It's probably great specifically because it wasn't that. This is the opposite. This is like the laser through the Cyclops glasses. We are hitting you with the direct beam of it. And it's got to feel like bright colors and flowers. And these types of noises shouldn't always feel like black and puke color and repulsion and antagonism and whatever. This is actually quite fun and energetic and alive. And like, again, you can take it back to, this is one of the most delightful album covers to look at of all the albums that we've covered. There's so much personality in their faces. There's so just at a human, at like a childlike wonder level. The 4-year-old in me is so excited by this album cover and wants to figure out what's going on in the music because they're just doing a lot. There's so much information transmitted visually and kinetically with this band that audio alone will do it once you get it, but it's very hard for audio to do it all by itself. I would also say, I know the viral video that you're referencing is like a cell phone video from a show, but my first exposure was also, I checked your cell phone, but from the KEXP performance, which also locks in on the drummer to begin with.
Yeah.
And has a lot of holy shit, the drummer comments. But I don't want to do a disservice to the other band members because once you stay for 10 seconds of blast beats, then you see them breaking the fourth wall and doing the vocal performance, looking right at you, the audience member, and like, are you here? Are you with us? Are you having fun? Which is so like, that's a command level entertainer performance. That's a bit comedy, a bit like flexing their chops musically, to be able to walk and chew gum and do that, to be like, hey, look at me, we're doing this. But then it also doesn't really need, like, I know this would work in a bar with 2 people in it, like the bartender and one other person watching, and it would work in a sold out, sweaty 2,000 cap venue, and you get the exact same thing from them because you can tell how much they're loving it. So it works really well with audience participation in like a Gang of 4 sense. It's aware of audience, but it also doesn't need an audience because it's just a fusion reaction regardless. And like, they play the shit out of these instruments.
Yep.
There's some kind of wild guitar work, but I would say I'm especially a fan of the bassist of this band playing the Thunderbird bass barefoot and really cooking. There's some like real bass workouts on this record. Some big physical, like meaty bass lines. So they're, come for the drumming, stay for the everything else.
Yep. To that end, then, some specific instances of coming for the drumming and staying for other things. Like literal moments that stood out to me with aforementioned timestamps on that I Am Not Maternal opening track, around 57 seconds. Up until that moment, in the first time you're really listening to this, it's, where is this gonna go? Kinda. And then they just hit. Normally when you hear the standard punk beat, it's expected. When they break into it and you did not know that that's how most of this music is gonna go, it's like a delightful surprise. And it works perfectly. And to the points that we've said, like, they don't stick with anything too long. So that, like, the ability to go in and out of really traditional sort of almost filler type of punk and sort of metal and hardcore grooves, they work because they don't do them for 16 measures at a time. They do them for 4 and then they don't do it again, or they do it 3 songs later or whatever. So I think that's the kind of like the first time it drops back in and you can start to sense that formula. Yakitori not only is catchy and hilarious because the lyrics are about stuffing your mailbox full of yakitori.
Destroy!
But also like the ending of that song, completely unnecessary and awesome. Like there are little moments like that sprinkled throughout where it's like, dude, you guys had to have worked on the last 3 seconds of this song for like 4 days.
Right.
And like, why? Like, it's awesome. And also, I have no idea why you chose to do it that way. But sprinkling in that sort of seasoning so many times over and over again is really endearing to me. That like that just, it smells like the types of records that we talk about where it's like they kept cooking on this until they all sat back in their chair and went, it's done. We're good.
Yep.
Like we've added everything we can add here. We've already mentioned a couple of other ones going back to Pardon. So at 55 seconds, they invert the rhythm together. They reintroduce something they had done earlier, but on a different beat than they had done it previously in a direct intersection with what they were doing right before that, all while maintaining throughout that song a whole bunch of, well, like you said, kind of SpongeBob mocking meme generator type stuff of just like, oh, do you not understand me now? Oh, you don't understand me? Over and over again in a bunch of different ways at different rhythms. And then on top of it, they're like they're being antagonistic with it itself in a way that we wouldn't know how to indicate, because they're intentionally using katakana English, which is apparently like a type of English that is offensive for certain people to use, according to certain people in Japanese culture or whatever. Not offensive like in the American way of like you shouldn't, but offensive in like the that's beneath you type of deal. So they're like intentionally deploying that and using English and changing the rhythm around and doing it a bunch of different times to where you can't follow them. And so that's okay. So one, that's a complete fucking thought to begin with. But then, I mean, this really clinched it for me. Buried in this song is a like 4-second reference to Uber Alles California by the Dead Kennedys.
Hell yeah.
Again, a totally unnecessary departure from what they are doing, but it's so intentional. And then I had one of those moments, Kyle, where I was like, honestly, I wish we were sitting in the same room together as we like kind of walk down this little music discovery path, because it was like, okay, I saw that reference and I was like, okay. I kind of know that song. I'm going to go back and listen to it. Then before long, I'm listening over and over again to Uber Alles California back to back with Pardon, over and over again going, okay, I got it that time. Okay, I got it. Okay, it's really just that little bit, huh? Okay. And then I'm walking all the way through that. I'm like, okay, man, like I don't know. I'd go toe to toe with a lot of people, honestly, with like punk, hardcore, metal knowledge in the general sense. I'm pretty experienced. I've been to a lot of shows, listened to a lot of bands. I know a lot. I know about the Dead Kennedys. I understand. I understand why they matter. I don't give that much of a shit. I don't have this song memorized. Okay, now you got my attention. It was so important to you that we needed to inject it intentionally into the middle of this song. Okay, let's go figure out why. Okay, so this is the first single from Dead Kennedys in 1979. It was so new to that band that it was basically written by Jello Biafra for the band before this. He deploys it for Dead Kennedys. The lyrics of this song, first of all, now appeal to me greatly because, I mean, I'm all the way down the rabbit hole already, right? But it's like, okay, so this reference in Dead Kennedys song, what is this song even about? I don't think I've thought about this for a long time. The lyrics to this song are basically like, fuck you, Jerry Brown, which is awesome. Then, because speaking of things that are maybe close to mine and Kyle's
genteel
heart,
Jerry Brown, you're a Nazi.
yeah, so, like, coming hot off of easy ways to critique far-right politicians, here's Dead Kennedys critiquing an otherwise ostensibly leftist politician, which even at the time created its own cycle of like, hold on, I thought you were over on this side. And him going, that's not how that fucking works.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so now we're all the way down this rabbit hole and I'm finding myself like, okay, I fucking appreciate Dead Kennedys again in maybe a new way, because here's this 1979 song I haven't thought about in who knows how long. It reminds me that there are maybe more people like me than I want to feel sometimes. And there are people who think about things in similar ways. And then I read a little bit more about that song because now I'm interested in that. And then we go all the way down to Jello Biafra saying, well, actually, that song isn't so inspired by punk music so much as it is Japanese kabuki music. Okay, so we've made a giant fucking loop and I feel awesome. We're deep in this thing now, right? Like, he's over here being inspired by Japanese music. They're pointing all the way down here 50 years in the past at this thing on purpose. And it turns out there's kind of like a mirror reference back to the culture that it's reflecting from. That shit is what it's all about, man. And honestly, if you're like, what's the big fucking deal, dude? Then fine. Turn off this podcast. I don't know what to say to you. Like, that was such a delightful moment to me. I had to sit and catch my breath. Like, this shit is so cool, man. Everything feels so wrong sometimes. And then there's this center of gravity in music that everyone's like standing around and pointing back into. And the people who really care about it will just like send you down a rabbit hole on purpose. If I had a psychedelically influenced mind in that moment, I would have felt like I had a wormhole tunnel directly to Otoboke Beaver going, hey, y'all, I appreciate what you did here. Thank you. Someone thought about this and did it on purpose. And yeah, I ended up following that trail. Thank you. And that's sick, dude.
That's what the wise men of the Red Hot Chili Peppers were talking about with the the vaguely racist all around the world song. Sheepy deeby doobie California. You know, that's what it's all about.
I would also, though, add not every song goes that hard or that deep, but some of them do, and that's great. What I would also then mention is by the time I get down to Don't Call Me Mojo, about 39 seconds in, there is a moment that reminded me very, very specifically of a record that I think I may have mentioned offhand at some point, but it's so detached that I could not possibly remember what it must have referenced at the time. Maybe Gang of Four. But at 39 seconds, there is a piece of the music that sounds exactly like the album Art Damage by Fear Before the March of Flames, which was a kind of mind-bending record to me when it came out because of how aggressively strange it is in terms of like its composition. That was sort of like peak screamo moment, and you could sort of just print money playing power chords on a Telecaster and doing the screamo thing. And they made a really esoteric screamo noir type thing that sounds so strange and has so many sort of, weird sounds and starts and weird compositional ideas. But that's exactly what it started making me think of again. And I had several moments then throughout this record of, oh, this makes me think of this other really strange moment that I remember having with music. Or this reminds me of this other band where it's like, oh, I remember feeling like this is weird and I love it. And I honestly don't know who I can tell because of how strange it is. I feel like a lot of those moments in my life have been like important, like canon events for me. And so this just starts to point back at all of them. And Mojo does it for Art Damage as a record. Dirty Old Fart is Waiting for My Reaction did it for Boris, because to me that sounds like a Boris song through and through. It's the closest thing to them overlapping sonically. And then even down to like the last three tracks on the record just being an aggressively strange way to end a record. The songs actually, they're already short, and then the last three are like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
like
so
it winds down in
seconds.
and it winds down in a very, very strange way. And the topic of it is sort of like a bit strange and misdirectional. Like, do you want me to send a DM to your girlfriend who knows nothing? It's like, okay, what is this about? And then it's over. The strangeness of doing all of those things, it has such a like Jim is staring into the camera in the office type of feel to it that
Totally.
I love. I love it.
Totally. Do you remember us seeing Fear Before together live?
Yes.
With Norma Jean and BT Bam?
And Evergreen Terrace, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that all the same bill?
I think so. But yes.
There were a couple of shows that was like the same week in 2005 or 6. One was Throwdown and Maylene. Maylene was the very first band, and like none of our friends had ever seen Maylene, so there were like a whole bunch of us there. And then there were like 3 bands, and then Throwdown headlined. And I thought Evergreen Terrace was on that bill, but maybe it was
so.
Maybe it was with Fear Before.
They were playing a lot of shows back then, so it very well could have been both.
They also played with that band that I like and you love earlier in that year. I just looked up. They played with Circle Takes the Square before that Radio Rebellion tour.
Another checkbox.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When we start stacking up all these names of like little bands that are deliberately, aggressively weird, just like people really rubbing frictiously against normie existence over all these years, all these hundreds and maybe even thousands of bands, groups of fellow humans that we've seen get in small rooms and against all logic, just fucking throw their whole body into the wood chipper just because, like, what else would you do with your time, your brief time on Earth? That's why I don't give up on the human experiment, because none of this makes any sense. And yet I observe you, and it's the only thing that's right. It's the only thing. Like, why would you do anything else but this with your brief time on Earth? Why the fuck are you worried about your taxes and like drinking Michelob Ultras with people talking about their jobs on your free time that you haven't traded away to somebody? Like, why would you not be the most fucking alive you could possibly be in this moment? Physical, visceral, sweating, bleeding, like knowing it's all real. What the fuck else is there but this? I feel so lucky sitting here, us talking and reflecting that like we just sort of accidentally kept making this our lives. Just like wherever we've gone there, it's been for so long. And that's when Otoboke Beaver made me emotional. Which is not the first time. There's a song that is a wedding gift to their label bosses on this. It's funny and cheeky. It's like, don't fight, don't get diabetes, don't ignore each other. It's wacky, but like so delightful. If somebody gave me a song like that for my nuptials, I would cherish it for my whole life.
Yep.
I would put the handwritten lyrics in a frame, an altar in my home. I would praise it.
So you're going to walk down the aisle to this really fast, okay? You're going to need to jog, maybe.
Listen, as two people who notoriously despise weddings and neither of whom enjoyed their own, if somebody was like, if I got to save the date, followed up by a text, I'm going to dead sprint down the aisle to a 37-second Otoboke Beaver song. Okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
What's the most expensive thing on your registry? I will get it.
Do you want me to time you while you practice? Yeah. I'll just be down there with a stopwatch, like 2.3 more seconds, baby. You got this.
Can I officiate? By the way, for anyone listening, I've done 6 weddings, I believe. I would like the 7th to be the Otoboke Beaver special.
Finally, this podcast can make some money. Hire Kyle for your nuptials. He will do anyone. He has no constraints in terms of who he approves of, unless you're a jerk.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was about to make the turn into like, unless you're in this very large category of people, and then he'll ruin your day. Literally, he'll ruin it.
Yeah.
It'll be great. That is a service we provide, is the Kyle Priest lottery.
Yeah. I'm
would
well
love
practiced
to-
in my haterdom.
You got
would
it in
love
your
to,
10,000
what?
hours, baby. You're good.
That's right. That's right.
I would love to mention more bands that this stuff made me think of. I mean, unless you like vehemently disagree, this is feeling like a very hip-hoppy type record in the sense of like, this sent me into the kaleidoscope of a million things. And now I would like to sort of spray everybody with a range of things that might catch their attention in hopes that one or two of them do.
Yeah. Perhaps as a segue into that, a lot of the musical moments that I honed in on were like, oh, this spiritually feels like another band. So maybe I'll do my Letterman top 10 of like little hone in moments.
Will it float? I love it.
Right. Man, the clip just came up on my feed of Dolly Parton doing the top 10. where the number one is nobody talks about I've also got a great ass. Like, God, Dolly, why are you so great? How are you so great? How are you always so great? Amazing. You made the comparison when we were trying to triangulate bands that are good funny or bad funny, on purpose funny, or just funny by nature. And System of a Down came up. And like once I started listening with System of a Down in mind, it's like, wow, these are spiritual cousins. Like,
Totally.
Wow.
Totally.
Wow, this record is a lot like Toxicity, which is another record that even with the benefit of time and tons of listens, I'm still like, how did this come out of human brains? Like, what were they going for? System of a Down is the world's funniest and most serious band. Prison Song is inexplicable and impossible in anyone else's hands, or a song like Sugar, or like to have a song like Prison Song and a song like Bounce, where you just say pogo, 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 pogo over and over. It's like, there's not a lot of bands that you're going to keep rocking with after they do something like that. Probably also largely a credit to the drummer in that case, where you're just like, this guy is undeniable. But you notice the System of a Down vibe, or I did right away in Maternal. Specifically, she does like kind of a disco-y hi-hat open and close move. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, we do get a little chic in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's the first thing where you're like, oh, some finesse. It's not just power, it's finesse. Okay, all right. Let's see what else you got. And then they hit I don't know that I would quite call it a vocal harmony, but their vocals bash up against each other in a cool way, in a harmonic-ish way. The first time they do it is in Maternal, and then there's other, like I Don't Want to Die Alone has the harmony builds, they do that move. So you're like, okay, that's sort of a signature Otoboke Beaver thing. Yakitori reminded me more spiritually than musically, but a little bit structurally musically, of Torch, who's another band that we are huge fans of. And I have been a huge fan of, like, from the very first moment I heard them. And you have been like sort of a slow growing fan of them. I think pretty recently you texted me like, oh my God, I think this has become one of my favorite bands. And they ended at their very best.
Yes.
But Yakitori, the toms beat, they do kind of like a Mickey thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they do the destroy part with the blast beats. And they do it like for half a part the first time. And then they return to it and it's twice as long, but still very short. And then they return to it a third time. And then they do that crazy shit at the end. But it expanding just slightly reminded me of like Torch moves.
Yeah.
Where it was like, what's the weirdest the Beatles could possibly be, is what I always felt like the best Torch moments were doing, was like, how freaked out and fuzzy could pop. Like, what if the Beatles were inside a volcano? What if they were made of magma? And there's a bit of that on Yakitori. Pardon has the double kick. A lot of people, if they play a double kick, do it all the time. They overdo it. But here's a like, I can do it. All right, see you later. Big gulps, huh? Then you do Leave Me Alone, which, if you're looking for a bass song, that's the bass song.
Yeah, sure.
Starts high and notey. And then the Cell Phone and Put My Love back to back also feels very Toxicity, like specifically that combo. I checked your cell phone and I put my love to you in a song. And then I Put My Love to You has one of those like micro parts that I just like cannot get out of my head. It's just after 20 seconds, where it's like, wait, is that the Dead Kennedys thing you were talking about? No, that's a different thing. Yeah. Different song. It was one of those that I'd listen to the record for a bit and then put it down. And then I would get it like a lightning flash illuminating the inside of my brain. And I'm like, wait, what is that from? And I would go through 100 punk songs. And then it was like, oh my God, it's 42 milliseconds of an Otoboke Beaver song.
Yep.
It tests. I'm not great at much stuff in this world, but I'm the baddest motherfucker of all time at Name That Tune.
You're a riff hunter in a strange way.
I can hear it muffled from the bathroom of the bar for a bar and a half and be like, oh yeah, that's this from the 7th Black Sabbath record. And actually that feels like somebody covering it. That's the Thou cover of Children of the Grave from 2019, and everyone's like, "Ha, your brain is spicy." You mentioned Mojo was the song with the Fear Before part,
Yeah.
right? Right about in the middle.
Yeah.
Immediately before that is an ascending riff that reminded me of Smooth Sailing, the end of Smooth Sailing by Queens of the Stone Age. And I remember one time Jordan Buckley from Every Time I Die, Better Lovers, tweeting a video of them performing it. And he's like, fun fact, the tab for the song is just 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5, you know, just like climbing the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about that just stuck with me, not a guitar player, of like, I could envision the shape of the staircase climbing.
Yep.
And I see it. I visually see the staircase thing every time I watch a live video of that song, which is a non-zero amount of my life. But Mojo's got that part immediately leading into the Art Damage part. And then my favorite song title on the record, Where Did You Buy Such a Nice Watch You Are Wearing Now? The Manzai comedy, I think, is like, if you're going to start one place to understand that Manzai inspiration, I think it's Where Did You Buy?
あらあんたえらい時計してそれどこで買いはったあらあんたえらい時計してそれどこで買いはったあらあんたえらい時計してそれどこで買いはったあらあんたえらい時計してそれどこで買いはったあらあんたえらい時計してそれどこで買いはった
And then to boot, there's a guitar freak out on that I think you would probably think is like an Omar type thing,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
but made me think of the Butthole Surfers,
Yeah.
which is another, like, they're so weird and so serious type band. This could maybe be a gateway drug to Locust Abortion Technician, which is just one of the harder records to get into and to need to get into, frankly. And then I Don't Want to Die Alone. I mentioned the build in the vocal harmony. So everything's micro on this record. So I think just picking I just keep envisioning flowers and fireworks and bursts of color and whatever. It is really like walking around picking flowers from a Technicolor, like Wizard of Oz garden. You just pick up little micro moments and they keep adding up. And then you're like, I have a bouquet. I wonder if these flowers will get me high. Like all the best mind expanders, they are also time expanders. It's the 21 minutes that feels like 21 years. What's the game in Rick and Morty at the Dave and Buster's place? I feel like we've mentioned it like a handful of times over the life of this podcast, but 21 minutes of Otoboke Beaver is 21 years in the time-space continuum.
Always associate it with the beachhead game because that's what it reminds me of. That's how it looked or whatever. But yeah, what was it? A life well lived?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No.
I think about it all the time. Every time I wake up from an immersive or realistic enough dream, I'm like, oh no, I played the game again.
In one sense, this over and over again made me think viscerally about seeing the coat hangers at Star Bar at 1 a.m.
Oh, the coat hangers.
And I honestly
definitely spiritual cousins of this
Yes.
band.
Honestly, I meant to just mention them earlier, even had an alternate intro to this podcast that was basically just like, it feels like life branched and went in a very strange direction ever since the last time it was that I was just at the Star Bar seeing coat hanger with my friends, watching them drink as many PBRs as they possibly could inside of a tiny moment and watching like chaotic feminist energy scare me a little while we loved it. And it was late and it was like we were delirious and tired and like, but everything was right about it. And of course it wasn't time to go home yet. And of course I have energy now. Everything about that moment feels so much like what this record can kind of point me back to in terms of in-person live like youthful energy almost. I hate that term in the sense that like I don't feel less youthful than I used to, but in the sense that that was a period of my life that feels like the I turned on my adult brain and decided to think about my tax bracket once a year type thing.
Yeah.
But it
It
made
was
me
all gimme danger all the time back then.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it made me miss literally specifically co-hangers and sent me back listening to a ton of that stuff and remembering that
Did you remember that Jason Krutsky recorded their first or one of their first demos?
you told me that and it has blown me away. It's stuck with me for a long time.
I remember him to this day giving me that CDR and me putting it on in my truck and being like, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
But like Bernie Mac voice. Like, what in the fuck? Son of a bitch.
Kyle, we're becoming too similar. That exact reference came to mind to me yesterday listening to Otoboke Beaver. What in the fuck, Kanye? I told you to play something for the kids.
The God. Rest in power to the God, Bernie Mac.
For sure. Oh, man.
I like this episode so much for the archives, for the grand scheme of this podcast, because it has been almost hallucinatory. a fun house of touch points that have literally nothing to do with this band, but they clearly are super powered at lighting our synapses up and making us feel like the most alive version of ourselves. And if you're still here listening, once again, that's the sales pitch.
Yes.
We're
about to make
limitless drug your own brain.
And we're about to make it worse for the rest of this episode. I'm about to go in every direction. And
that's how every Toon Dig episode should just start. Hold on, it gets worse.
The wheels are coming off here too, baby. Before I leave the co-hangers though, even they are a kind of cool analog if you like aspects of what Otoboke Beaver is doing, especially if you like other things that this band does outside of this album. Co-hangers so I would say the closest relation to this record was Suck My Shirt era coat hangers, like weird kind of spastic punky garage punk type stuff, which was my personal favorite. But on kind of other sides of that record, so Larceny and Old Lace and Nosebleed Weekend too, before they stopped being active, both of those step further into what I heard from earlier Otoboke Beaver albums and songs, which is cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool crossover there. And then starting to like really fan out in terms of close proximity, in terms of weirdness, and then spiritual cousins. I feel like it would be a sort of musical crime if we did not just say Melt Banana at some point in this episode.
Top of my list too.
Yeah. And like they do super cool, weird, almost like shoegazy borrowing stuff that's a bit different from what Otoboke Beaver does. But there is a lot of energetic overlap and compositional overlap there. And we don't have to be done talking about Melt Banana, but like I also tried to think of, all right, excluding like Japanese and Japanese adjacent music, what's the closest version of this that I feel like exists, even though they are themselves a contemporary and modern band? And it's The Armed.
Dude, yes, I had the same thought. And specifically because of that time we saw them in Brooklyn with Chat Pile, where it was like, whoa, this is life affirming. This is the light show. This is the fireworks show inside my being. I had no idea how positive and electrifying this was. Like the way Andrew WK tried to be like a pump up artist. Yeah. It's the show don't tell version of that. I still don't listen to the Armed recordings a ton.
Yeah.
Although I will say the new record it has songs that I have listened to quite a bunch, but I don't sit down and listen to them start to finish. Just like I don't know that I'll listen to a ton of Super Champon start to finish all the way through. they're going to be in playlists all over the place for the rest of my life now. But yeah, the Armed is very similar in that it's like, I'm so glad this exists. My friend Kelsey and Kelsey actually just got married in Sayulita, Mexico. And I went down and it was like an Armed show, an Otoboke Beaver show. It was like two people that didn't want to have a wedding, had a wedding, and it was beautiful and life affirming. And like there were al pastor tacos and it was a great day at the beach.
I'm sold. Yeah.
Yeah. And she reminded me that I had sent her the screenshot from an interview with Josh Homme where he was like, he had like a moment of clarity. He like snapped into awareness during a set at a big festival where like the moon was hanging out over the crowd. And he said to himself in that moment, I had the thought out loud in my brain, fuck, I want to live so bad. And we'll text each other things back and forth. It's like, oh, that's a fuck, I want to live so bad moment. And that's what the Armed is. And that's what Otoboke Beaver is. Like, I want to live so bad. I want to be alive so much. I want to be so alive. God, I love the Armed. They're so sick. Ultra pop actually may be a good word to describe Otoboke Beaver.
For sure.
Separate entirely from hyper pop, ultra pop.
For sure.
Maximum human expression.
So that's the sort of maximal, complex, start, stop on a dime type stuff that feels energetically aligned. The other things that this made me think of were all the bands who have ever made me feel like I'm fucking weird for listening to this and I love it.
Hell yeah.
There's a moment that hits you. And to me, still, it stems a lot of this. There's a reason that Fear Before the March of Flames album was important to me. I have literally told you this before, Kyle, but like, I remember where I was when I heard there's a breakdown on it that's just like, you can't buy love. You can't buy feeling. We were meant to eat each other. It's like, this is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever heard, and I love it. It's what is happening? Those sorts of moments where it's not just a weird thing, it's a weird thing sitting inside of a cool record is my shit. So, in that sense, just like exercises off the top of where that touched for me. So, first of all, you already mentioned Circle Takes the Square. So, the As Roots Undo era of that band was them bringing a tightness to.
Oh, wow. They were on your list to bring up?
100. I was not kidding about the checklist of things you're just hitting.
So sick. Oh my
absolutely.
God.
Absolutely.
Synchronicity.
Well, and it delights me because that's a little genre adjacent in a way where I wouldn't have known for sure if that connection would have made sense to you. And it pleases me deeply that it did. I mean, honestly, that Circle Takes the Square is pretty capital I important if you care about that genre anyway. So a cool band to listen to. But other ones that quickly pop to mind that are similarly related where I had what the fuck moments. So Soul Glow, first of all. Yep. Okay. We're just.
I can't believe we're arriving at so many of the same conclusions when I thought these are weird. These are not quite right, but they make sense to me.
The through line.
We've been married too long.
Yeah. The through line of everything I'm about to mention too, though, is, and again, I super agree. Everyone in Otoboke Beaver is cool and great. I'm saying specifically for me, I like, yes, the drumming, but also specifically the drumming and then what they do with vocals, which we've discussed a ton throughout.
Yeah.
Like, everything is interesting and unexpected in that sense. And so the relationship between those two things pops up for me for a lot of bands. Soul Glow being one of them, because once again, the dude who's doing vocals for that is just like, he is literally doing something I haven't heard people do before with vocals. I'm going to skip a couple that I know that you're going to mention and bring up a couple others that you might not. Another similar band of just, surprise, we're going to be fucking way weird for you. Missouri Executive Order 44.
Oh my God. Yes.
A band of people playing weird grind, start, stop, heavy hardcore stuff who are wearing anonymous bodysuits and bicycle helmets. Like, yes. So yes, right? Sign me up for this. What is
Devo for murderers.
a band that I'll give an immediate caveat on, but it's unfair to light this whole band on fire for one person. Daughters is a band that had a really shitty person in it, but they did some cool music, even if that dude was just basically copying Jesus Lizard the whole time. There's still some cool music there that I think is worth appreciating. And similarly, a far less problematic band in every way that I find a way to talk about every possible time I can, the fucking Locust. Sorry, the Locust,
man.
not the fucking Locust, but the Locust. More just like weird, grind, complex, short songs, blast stuff, and we're done. It's weird. There's a gimmick. There's an on-ramp to you to go, that's weird. What's going on there? And then they play good music. And that's always that's the 1-2 of the thing.
I wonder if Justin Pearson has heard Otoboke Beaver. I bet he would be really into it. I can't imagine he wouldn't. I think everybody in every band you've mentioned would be like, this band is so sick.
Yes.
And I can't believe I haven't seen this type of thing happening before, but I'm so glad it exists now.
2 more deeper cuts that had their own weird moments for me that may or may not connect with anybody and are oddly specific. But there was a band a long time ago around the popular times of we're going to be weird screamo adjacent type stuff. The Plot to Blow Up the Eiffel Tower put out a really cool kind of proto-punk record that reminds me a lot of this, and I remember liking it specifically because it was weird. And then finally, a moment that Kyle will remember, but I have no way to judge how much this permeated culture or not. But on the Spitfire record that Scotty Henry played guitar on, and the first or second song, the last breakdown is just, I ran into my brother at the store. He tasted good. It was like, once again, that was fucking weird. I think I like this band a lot. That's a band that ended up not really existing in that form anymore, but just like little touch points of moments where like a band freaked me out in a really good way. Those stick with me so much and still do.
2006 and 7. Would that have been Self-Help?
Yes.
Man. Yeah, that's the one with the song. The breakdown is just, it's a brave new world.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Exactly. That record.
That was like one of my favorite songs. Go Ape was the name of that song.
Yep.
God, Spitfire was sick for a minute.
Yep.
And also in the like Norma Jean cinematic universe was the Handshake Murders. You know, like of all the bands that they had 1.5 records and the absolute scariest frontman of all fucking time. And they were so much better. I mean, you know, they got derided as a Meshuggah and Coalesce knockoffs, but there was something else like very dark and weird and cool there.
Yes.
But there were some Norma Jean adjacent folks in that band for a while. Yeah. It was a weird, I think the like theme of this episode for me is like micro is good, niche is good. You can go big by going super, super small. I keep thinking of like nuclear imagery and fusion because they're putting limitless energy into the tightest, densest possible spaces. So they're like harnessing the atom in a sense. So in that way, I do love that stuff like Spitfire comes up for you because that's specific to like 1,000 people ever, you know?
Yep, this band has like 1,600 monthly listeners. Okay, like I know what we're saying. Yeah,
and to the point about like you can't help where you're from. Our lens on everything being shit like Skynyrd and the Allman Brothers, and then the Southern Christian metal scene.
Yep.
But like that scene also gave us Hayley Williams. So if you're enjoying the Hayley Williams show tour this summer, think of the Chariot, which. Yeah. At the first Atlanta show, she brought out Josh.
I was gonna say they've been on songs together.
Pretty
rad.
We're
not drawing that line between two dots. Those dots are connected. That's fantastic.
Man, you touched on so many good ones. I want to make sure that if I don't mention the ones you skipped over, that you mention them.
Sure.
Definitely Melt Banana. I think I would categorize it as like three things. Stuff that feels the closest we can get you to the next train over at the same station, because there's no same train with different cars with this band, like we mentioned. And then I think some version of, because it's our bias, you know, we want to go even heavier. So less bubblegummy versions of the same stuff. I've mentioned a lot of the Japanese connections already, so I'm not going to belabor that. And then I think there's a couple, nothing about this record, like you don't need to talk about this record because it's for women making it. This is a great record. The songs are great. The artistic intent is interesting. But if you're also into other bands that are interesting and they all also happen to be women, I got a couple for that as well. So you mentioned Melt Banana. I also really like Tricot. I think they're weird and cool. There's a band called Seisumi that has popped up on playlists and stuff that I haven't gotten super into, but everything that I've heard I've liked. And they've either toured with Otoboke or they've kind of been inspired by, they're kind of in the orbit of each other. There's an artist I've seen at the Earl or 529 in a cool little space, Guitar Wolf, who's like a Japanese Lux Interior, Poison Ivy, all-in-one combo, Garbage Man rock. The drummer has mentioned Deerhoof, specifically the drumming on Deerhoof Records. Not to be confused with Deer Hunter of Atlanta, Georgia. Deerhoof is a sick and weird one to get into.
And a stated influence on the drummer.
A stated influence. Yeah, like a number one drumming influence. Deerhoof stuff is not on streaming, at least not on Spotify. Good for you. So you'll have to find it elsewhere. But they're an artist worth owning some physical media of and getting weird with. On the heavier end, I mentioned Torch, like somebody else doing freaked out acidy bubblegum pop. You mentioned the Armed. I mentioned the Melvins and the Butthole Surfers. You mentioned Soul Glow. There's a lot about this project that reminds me, I thought Death Grips initially, like Death Grips' poppiest moments, The Money Store, Otoboke, Beaver, and Death Grips would have been a sick tour in 2012, you know, before like full implosion and return. At the height of the Death Grips mystique, Otoboke, Beaver would have been a very cool opener. But more specifically, Hella, like Zach Hill's drumming. Check. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hella in the era when they were opening for the Mars Volta and the Chili Peppers, specifically.
Yeah, just like, especially where Hella was being intentionally difficult with rhythm.
Yeah.
For interesting purposes.
Yeah. The Zach Hillist Zach Hill.
Yeah.
And then a handful of none of these bands have anything to do with each other, nor would you maybe see them on a bill together. The OCs are like, the records are cool, but live's where it's at type. Oh, I get it now. Just a furious full-on attack. They're way more linear and can-like than Otoboke. Maybe it was just maternal, but there were moments that were like, is this ska? Is this prog? What is this trying to be? There was something about the up and downness and the notiness of the guitar that reminded me of the Fall of Troy, who we saw at Furnace Fest a couple of years back, and I was like, oh my God, this band is so good. I forgot how good this band is. And that guy, Eric, what's his face, the guitarist. And then I also thought about Trash Talk. There was only one of this band, extremely confrontational. For my money, there's no harder band on planet Earth than Trash Talk live. If you want to get hit directly by a trash truck at full speed, that's a Trash Talk show. They are it. But like Otoboke, Beaver, and Trash Talk in Japan, where there's now a Babylon store in Tokyo, like I would maybe pay the money to schlep for a Tokyo small venue, trash talking Otoboke Beaver show, I would probably lose a tooth out of my skull. And it would be glorious. I'd wear that tooth on a necklace. Be like, remember that time I went to Japan? I'd make it my personality. A couple of other bands that get mentioned sort of tangential, you can't talk about Otoboke Beaver without talking about, I don't think that's necessarily true, but a couple of bands I saw brought up over and over were Shonen Knife and Boredoms. Shonen Knife is cool. Boredoms are very cool. Those are choose your own adventure ones. There are a couple of all-female contemporaries, not at all in the realm of Otoboke Beaver, that I have just been so taken with. Die Spitz, who I recently saw at a sold-out show in Atlanta. They're heavy and badass, and they're a sick band, and I can't wait to see them get bigger and bigger. And Lambrini Girls, who are pointedly, aggressively, not only feminist, but misandrist. Lambrini Girls are tight. Otoboke Beaver also, in a way, made me miss Gel, although like the toxicity of the way that all fell apart is very much not in the spirit of what's happening here. I think there are things covered on Super Champon that are directed at the kind of people that made Gel fall apart. But Gel, when they were cooking, would have been very cool on a bill with Otoboke Beaver. But again, I love that you pointed it out early. All of this is very live. Every single band we've mentioned make me want to leave my house on a weeknight and go see a show and be like, you know what? This is all there is. And that's great.
The only one I cannot leave out of the conversation, and I just simply forgot to mention them earlier, there's a lot of overlap with the Blood Brothers here.
Yeah.
A lot. In a really fun way. But similarly, like...
they're both sassy.
Yes, and as I get older, I can't believe I'm ending up a white belt defender in many cases, but that genre was cool.
That better be the only white thing you're defending.
That genre was cool and got a bad rap, just like the whole genre of false grind is a cool label for a lot of bands that are actually kind of cool, and everybody just has a bad attitude about it. But Blood Brothers, similarly, like they took a very different approach in general, but similarly physical. Their whole stupid thing at the time that I saw them back in the day was like, sometimes they throw up while they're playing. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, all right. I don't.
Wasn't it amazing? Like in that era, immediately pre-social media, how one album spawned whole scenes. Yeah. So like Crimes, it was Crimes, and then all that stuff popped up.
Yeah.
Similarly, when Hot Damn came out, there were a ton of butt rock, southern metal, like idiot Dukes of Hazzard cosplay bands. And I'm sure there's tons that I'm forgetting, but it feels like there were 10 or 50. I mean, Jane Doe being the prime example, the record that launched 10,000 bands, none of whom got anywhere close to the real thing. But you know what? On a totally opposite note, I hope beyond hope that there are groups of people who hear Super Champon and they're like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. And I want to try to make our version of it. Like if there are 10,000 imitators of this band, I'll go see some of them.
Yeah.
If I can't go see Otoboke.
Yeah. Speaking of printing money, you will get some from us.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to do it myself. So maybe I'll be inspired too.
Trying to think of what we would call that band. Okie dokie seal.
Well, maybe since
I'm always texting you trying to get you to do music projects since you're the only one that plays music and I have no shortage of ideas. I'm still waiting for your HM2 album, Cliff's Wolverine Blues.
It's sitting in my noggin. No worries. Considering Otoboke Beaver was named after a love motel in Japan, I guess if I made this band, it would be Pink Pony South or something. I don't know. Maybe the Cheetah, R.I.P. Either way, the energy of this record, even more so than a lot of the ones that we talk about, there are a lot of reasons to be inspired, interested, whatever, do things as a result of listening to music. For this one, it should be a pretty quick on and off switch for most people. If you're not going to like this, you're probably going to figure that out pretty quickly. If you can hang in there, to Kyle's point, please do. And then, sort of like we have done here, expositorially for 2 hours, is talk about all the moments that made us feel weird, and then that we went, that's okay that I feel that way. That might be good. I should chase it. You should chase your weird shit. Weird shit that doesn't hurt other people is the lifeblood of what makes interesting people interesting. You should go do shit that makes you feel cool for being weird and chase it. I'm a big fan of that. Personally, I find people to be more interesting these days if they do it. The other end of that is just becoming AI slop. Go do something that a computer can't do, such as make this record.
Go to tunedig.com for your chance to win a free vinyl copy of the album we just covered. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter for even more info about the album, including playlists, links to interesting articles and videos, and even some stories that didn't make the episode. Most importantly, though, please support your favorite local record store or concert venue, or buy merch from a band you love. Thanks for listening.